to like and subscribe because we are about to talk about the LA riots once again, day number 6 of this whole entire situation, right? And it's not getting any better, right? You would think that it would just be okay, a few lootings here and there. Maybe they'll get it under control. Maybe they'll have a few people burning up stuff and then they'll have the cops come in and sweep everything up. No, no, it's getting a lot worse and it is moving at a direction where it doesn't seem to stop, right? And it doesn't seem like it's going to end within this particular week. And I'm going to anticipate maybe not even within a month. There's just a lot going on here, right? So we're going to react to all the situations that are going on with this particular matter, but we're also going to talk about UFC Atlanta, this whole entire fight card that we're going to talk about because by the end of the day, we are still an MMA channel. I know there's a lot of these things going on around the world right now, well, specifically in Los Angeles, but we are an MMA channel and we are going to respect that part, but we're also going to respect the reality of what's going on in California, my beautiful home state. By the way, Los Angeles, one of my favorite cities in the world, right? So we're going to get right into it. But first, the Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley main event. Okay, let's start off from the very top and work all our way down. Okay, this could be a matchup where Kamaru Usman could lose to Joaquin Buckley. Now, what's interesting about Joaquin Buckley and Kamaru Usman, they have a very identical record, right? Identical to the sense that, you know what? They have almost the same amount of fights. But within those same amount of fights, there's different experiences. Now, what exactly are the differences with the experience in, let's say, Kamaru Usman and Joaquin Buckley? Well, here's the thing about Joaquin Buckley, right? He had this viral kick that he did against Umpa Esungai, right? That African fighter who went on to fight in the PFL and eventually become a PFL champion, right? Well, before that, he got knocked out by a brutal kick, which came from Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley throws a kick, he goes and catches it. What happens? He goes and hits him with a spinning back kick as he's holding on to his leg. Good morning, Marty Miller. Shout outs to you, my man. Shout outs to everybody around the world that is tapped in. We got a few people in the chats right now. We got Marty Miller. We got everybody the usual. Evan Munford. Evan Munford, hi. How are you, my man? Let me know what part of the world you are from. And yeah, you are all very welcome here as people that are going to be part of the chat and help me engage in these particular conversations that we're going to talk about. I like the belt in the background. Ryder Rose says, thank you. Thank you. I often get that a lot, especially from WWE fans. They often would notice that, the belt. And then next thing you know, it's a great conversation starter. People ask me, well, who is your favorite wrestler and this and that? Please help there. Phone Apple says, I don't know what you mean by that, my man, but shout outs to you nonetheless. Okay, so here we go. Let me write on the description below right here, UFC. Hold on, just boxing. Okay, and then okay, so like and discuss. All right. Simple as. So there it is. Ryder Rose says, I watch it every Monday and Friday. My favorite wrestler is Jey Uso. Okay. So you're down with the Usos. All right, all right. I could dig that. I could dig that. Uh Billy Scott. Hello. Billy Scott says hello. How are you guys? Okay. So are you guys following the riots that are going on right now? We're gonna talk about that. But first, let's get to the fights that are happening this weekend, right? So obviously, Joaquin Buckley, Kamaru Usman, both have the same record, right? Similar record, 20-4, 21-6. Surprisingly enough, Joaquin Buckley has a little bit more fights than Kamaru Usman, but there is a difference. You see, Kamaru Usman was in championship fights. Joaquin Buckley was in fights where it was exciting. He was a prospect. He was coming up. He had a viral kick. Now here he is taking on Kamaru Usman. And if you looked at the face-off, he said something to the effect where, you know what, man, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm in front of Kamaru Usman. You know, with his little southern accent that he's got going on, the little southern twang that Buckley has going on. Now, prediction for the fight. There's a great chance that Kamaru Usman just grinds all throughout the whole entire 5 rounds of this fight. Now, obviously, it's a 5 round fight. They are a main event. And as a result of that, I think that suits more into Kamaru Usman's favor. Now, Joaquin Buckley, he did great against Colby Covington, but Colby Covington has been slept quite a few times already prior to that. Ryder Rose says, I subbed. Oh, yeah, you didn't have to redact that, my man. Thank you for your sub in your support on that regard. So it was a 3rd round TKO stoppage. And prior to that, he never really went all 5 rounds anywhere, right? So if this fight continues on, especially in the later rounds, rest assured you're going to have Kamaru Usman on that side. So my official prediction for this one, early knockout for Buckley, but uh, more than likely a decision for Kamaru Usman. That's the best way to put it. Now, Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. I'm going to go with Rose Namajunas on this one. You want to know why? Because I think that she has the footwork. I think that Miranda Maverick doesn't have that same footwork. Also, Rose has the championship experience on her side. But also, it's a 3 round fight, and I think Rose can keep up a pace of a 3 round fight where she just bounces up and down all over the cage and nails Miranda Maverick with some 1-2 shots and circling around her, 1-2 shots again, maybe a few front kicks here and there. Maybe Miranda will take her down a few times, but Rose will have enough of the get up in order to, yeah, get right back up. So I'm going to go with Rose by a decision on this one. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Now, the third to the last matchup going into it, Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Petrosky. Andre Petrosky has been looking really hot as of late. Edmund Shabazian, obviously, student of Edmund Shabazian and what's the Ronda Rousey, obviously a gym out of Glendale, LA, right? I'm sure that this guy, if he wins this fight, he's going to get up on the mic and talk about LA, talk about the riots, talk about how we all need to be together, how we all need to be inclusive, and all this other liberal mumbo jumbo stuff that he's going to get into. But on any regard, uh, Andre Petrosky, let's take a look at his past few records, okay? Andre Petrosky. Let's take a look at his record here. Okay, so Andre Petrosky. What is Andre Petrosky's record? Okay. So Andre Petrosky coming off of a win against Rodolfo Vieira. Decision. He lost to a decision by Patrick Gani. That's a grappling match. Obviously, I'm looking at Topology right now. Dylan Budka, Josh Fred has a lot of unanimous decisions, right? Now you look at Edmund Shabazian. Edmund Shabazian is a finisher to the max, right? But I don't know, man. I'm going to go with Andre Petrosky on this one by decision. I just think that he's a lot more consistent. You could trust him more. You know, if you're a betting man, obviously this is not a betting channel, not something that I endorse in any kind of way. But I'm going to go with Andre Petrosky on this one. Now, the next coming matchup, I got to warn you, there's a little bit of some biasness here, right? Cody Garbrandt, he's Team Alpha Male, Sacramento guy going up against Ronnie Barsolis. I'm going to go with Cody Garbrandt on this one, right? I think Cody Garbrandt is going to show I thought the same guy would win. Okay. Shout out to Ryder Rose for that one. You thought the same guy would win. Who did you are you referring to? Are you referring to the Andre Petrosky and the Edmund Shabazian fight. Now, with Cody Garbrandt, yeah, word to the wise, I'm a little bit biased on this one. And Ronnie Barcelos, look, he didn't have the championship experience that Cody Garbrandt had. Now, obviously, Cody Garbrandt has had some tough losses here and there, has been slept quite a few times. But when Cody is locked in, you better believe that he is one of the best guys in the world, and he's going to show exactly that in this fight. Now, Mansour Abdul Malik taking on Cody Brundage. I'm going to go with Mansour Abdul Malik on this one. He's undefeated. He's very well rounded. Way more athletic than Brundage. He's going to take this one. Alonzo Minfield taking on Umar Sy. Now, Umar Sy, 11-0 undefeated. I'm going to have to go with him on this one, right? I think he's going to win this one by unanimous decision, right? Alonzo Minfield is a little bit hard to finish at 37 years old in the light heavyweight division. So if we look at Alonzo Minifield coming off of a win against Julius Walker, gets knocked out by Azmat. By the way, Azmat coming off of a win, 12-second knockout by Carlos Ulberg that he suffered from. Before that, wins a decision against Dustin Jacoby. Yeah, this is a fight for Omar Sy right here, right? They sent Omar Sy to fight this guy to make Omar Sy look good. So Omar Sy is going to win this one by unanimous decision, I think. If not, probably, you know what? I'm going to go with a finish by Omar Sy. Let's go with second round knockout. Now, how about this? Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bilalo. Okay, so this fight, I believe, was canceled and they rebooked it. So here we go, right? Paul Craig, man, he's going to have a tough outing on this one, right? I just don't think that Paul Craig has the right amount of offense to take on Rodolfo. Now, he's very defensive in his jiu-jitsu. He lays on his back, waits for something to happen, just constantly relies on that. I think this is Rodolfo's fight to win. Now, how about this? Two veteran dogs right here in the welterweight division. Michael Chiesa taking on Court McGee, both Ultimate Fighter winners, by the way. Had a very good career so far between them, right? But this is a 50-50 fight. This is going to go to a decision, but I think this is going to be a win for Court McGee. No, I think yeah. I think I'm going to have to go with Court McGee on this one by decision. Now, Malcolm Wellmaker taking on Chris Montano. How about this? They brought Chris Montano in here to look good against Sean O'Malley. If you guys remember, right? Sean O'Malley tore him apart, right? Just schooled him, and he was tailor made for him. And you know what? Malcolm Wellmaker is no different than that. He's 9-0, undefeated bantamweight. I think they brought this guy in here to take this guy down. Let's take a look at Malcolm Weller. Okay, let's take a look at the record of Malcolm Weller, Malcolm Weller, the Machine. Okay, so 9-0, coming off of Cameron Simon, knocks out Cameron Simon, the training partner of Dricus du Plessis, Adam Brahead before that in the Contender Series, and then before that he had some wins and knockouts in the regional scenes. Okay, wins, knockouts, rear naked chokes. So very well-rounded fighter. And then he has an amateur career as well, very extended amateur career. Only one loss off of an armbar. But obviously, that's the amateurs. It's almost like it doesn't count. But he's undefeated now as a pro, and he's in here to take on Chris Martino. And they basically brought him here to lose, and that's the bottom line about it, right? You don't often see these types of matchups in MMA, but sometimes you do, right? Very boxing style matchups that they sort of set up for the prospect. Now, Corey Durden, next fight up, flyweight division, taking on Jose Ochoa. I'm going to have to go with Jose Ochoa on this one. Much younger, especially 24 years old versus 34, 10 years difference in the flyweight division at that, right? Jose is the perfect flyweight at this age right now in his prime. Now, the reach and height virtually identical between them. I'm going to go with Jose by unanimous decision. There's not a lot of crazy finishes between them, and definitely not a lot of crazy finishes with flyweights. Now, if you look at Cody Durden's previous fights, he lost to Joshua Van. There's no shame in that. Prior to that, loses to Matt Schnell, gets knocked out by Bruno Silva, and then gets submitted by a face crank against Tagir Olimbekov, and then gets a win against Jake Hadley by unanimous decision. Okay, and then has a win over Charles Johnson, but he's taken on Jose Ochoa. Now let's take a look at Jose Ochoa's career trajectory so far. Okay, so 7-1, very good record for pro. Obviously, coming off of a loss from Loner Kavanaugh, not really a lot that you can take from that, right? I mean, it's a loss is a loss, but it's a unanimous decision loss. Uh, Still, I think he's going to win against Cody Durden on this one. Let's take a look at where Cody Durden has been prior to this matchup. So a veteran at 17 wins, 7 losses, and 1 draw. Last fight coming off of a loss against Joshua Ban, as I mentioned. Okay, so tougher competition, but I think that this is Cody's fight to win right here. So we're gonna go with Cody Durden by unanimous decision because flyweights just don't get finishes like that, right? And this one is no different. So okay, we got that, and then we got Ricky Simon taking on. Oh, let's see here. So we got Ricky Simon. Who is Ricky Simon? Taking on Cameron Smotherman. Hmm. I'm gonna go with Ricky Simon on this one. Another bantamweight fight. I think that let's see, Ricky Simon. So Ricky Simon's coming off of a knockout against Javed. Prior to that, he was in a 3-fight losing streak against Vicinius Oliveira. Mario Batista by unanimous decision. Everybody loses to Mario Batista by unanimous decision. Song Yadong, he gets knocked out by Song Yadong in the 5th round, which, by the way, was a main event back in 2023 of a fight night. So, okay, Ricky Simon and Cameron Smotherman. Let's take a look at his record right here. Cameron Smotherman. So 12-5, 1 loss by unanimous decision. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with him by unanimous decision. I'm going to go with Cameron on this one by unanimous decision. Next fight coming up. What do we got right here for the next fight? Philip Rowe against Ange Lusa. Ooh, you know what, man? Uh, I might have to go with Ange Loose on this one. I mean, this is a powerful, powerful looking welterweight, right? Let's take a look at his stats right here. The last ninja, okay? So he's coming off of a loss, unanimous decision, okay? Gets a no contest against Brian Battle. Reese McKee gets a unanimous decision on him. I don't know. I mean, Reese McKee is somebody that you should finish, right? If you don't finish him, I mean, then I don't know what to tell you, right? But I mean, Reese McKee is still good. I mean, he's still a former Cage Warriors champion. But no, you know what? I'm gonna go with Philip Rowe on this one. By unanimous decision. I just think that Philip Rowe is a lot more well-rounded, right? Let's take a look at where Philip Rowe has been in his career. So 2-fight losing streak right now, right? Now, these are unanimous decisions. Lost to Neil Magny, split decision, very close fight. It kind of tells you that Philip Rowe is right up there. Gets a unanimous decision loss against Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews is looking very good right now. So these 2 losses are not indicative of that. He didn't get finished in these losses, right? But prior to that, he finished Nico Price. He finished Jason Witt. Now, Lusa is going to be very difficult to finish. I think that Philip Rowe is going to get this one by close unanimous decision. You know what? I'm going to go with a split decision. Jamie Lynn Hort taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Demopoulos has a 50-50 record. Jamie Lynn has a winning record. We're going to go with Jamie Lynn on this one. And that right there is the whole entire fight card for UFC Atlanta. Okay, so now that we've gone through let me just be honest about this, right? The boring part. Okay, I mean, listen, I don't think any fights are boring whatsoever. Whatsoever. They're not. Okay, Yassine says Galastre. Oh, shout out to you. Let me know what you mean by that, Yassine. Now, I'm not saying that, these fights are boring or this and that. I mean, you know what? This is a decent fight card. But there's more interesting topics going on around the world right now. And obviously, the LA riots are the focal point right now that we are all focusing on because it is something that is capturing the world's attention at the current moment of time. Now, look, as I'm saying that the world is being captured by the images of what's going on in California, in particular in Los Angeles, here's something that I noticed, right? So I heard from people across the United States, people from out of state saying that they don't hear any news of this particular situation going on. There's no feedback. There is no news clips of anything like that. But guess what? You guys got YouTube, and YouTubers around the world are doing content on the LA riots, and I included. And I'm going to jump my name into that particular category. But on any regard, okay, let's take a look at some situations that are going on right here. All right, let's take a look at day 6, LA riots. Okay, ICE protests and immigration. Okay. Uh, okay, so Marines are in LA right now. All right, let's go with American Cholo. Let's go see what American Cholo is talking about right now.
A lot of people in the social media world that we all kind of, go around believe that politics is one of the most boring things in the world, that it doesn't affect me, that, we don't vote this, we don't vote that. But as you can see, it does, bro. And now that we're at this junction, I've said it, it is what it is. But what are we going to do about it? Because this is something that has not been made overnight. I put the clips earlier today of Obama, of Bill Clinton, of Hillary Clinton, of
Now that's very important to understand, right? Immigration has always been a policy for all presidents. But this one, there's something a little bit different on this one because there's a quota going on. You see, Trump wants 3,000 a day. Now, the problem with that is with those 3,000 that you're looking at, you're not exactly always going to catch criminal immigrants or criminal illegals or anything like that, right? You're not necessarily running into criminal elements all the time. In fact, you're running across a lot of people that are hardworking, people that are just trying to make a living, so on and so forth, right? So that's sort of the problem with this style of raids that they are doing in the current moment of time.
Biden, and they all said exactly what this guy said. Every word, maybe it's just said a little bit nicer. It's like me going to you and saying, hey, man, give me your money. And then I go to the next guy and say, hey, would you please give me your money as I point a gun to you? And you're going to say, oh, well, they said it nicely. They still took your money. Yeah. They still robbed you. So I'm, at the very least, with the platform here, trying to come up with ideas, actual solutions. I may not agree with what's going on everywhere, but you know what? There's energy there. Somebody at least wants to do something. I got to respect that. But I believe that if we go down this route, we're just confirming people's stereotypes, at least to them. Not to all of us, because we know what we are. We are hardworking, law abiding, God loving Americans. An American doesn't just mean you a white hair, blue eyed Mississippi white boy, bro. American means you could be that guy who likes to go off roading. A lot of Latinos like going off roading. You could be that guy who loves mariachis. A lot of Americans love mariachis. Bro. There's a lot of stuff that still make us Americans, and that's something that I think
Yeah, it's a very good point by American Cholo, right there. Hence the name American Cholo. But yeah,
we've lost and what we've been doing in these last few weeks. And I say we because that's part of our community. I can't sit here and hide and say, "Oh no, that's just them." No, it is we. We are part of that community.
uh, Alariza says it won't be their first time. Who won't it be their first time? Let me know and elaborate what you mean by that. By the way, let me know what you mean by when you say that it won't be their first time. Are you talking about ICE? Are you talking about the people that are being implicated in these particular matters? Speaking of which, by the way, Jesse on Fire made a news yesterday about a top city official assaulted. Let's hear what this is all about. But yeah, Alariza, let me know what you meant by that particular statement, if you don't mind, please.
Okay. You guys ready to rock? You guys ready to see Los Angeles Democratic politicians straight up engaging in insurrection and riots? Okay. You ready to see the city, like the city controller's own family assaulting police officers? Are you ready to see somebody?
Alariza says, no, read my previous message. I'm sorry, I didn't see your previous messages here. Yeah, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Let me know what those messages were so we can further understand and elaborate what you're talking about. Thank you.
A superintendent who just instructed law enforcement to interfere and get what's it called, like jump inside of any kind of federal stuff that's happening to engage with them. Okay, if you think that this is not an organ, this is how civil war happens. Okay, I'm not even going to give you any preambles.
All right, so let me give you some context to this, right? Rick Cole is a Los Angeles chief deputy controller and a former Pasadena mayor, is in crisis. His 26-year-old twin daughters, Lucy and Antonia, were arrested Sunday night during a violent ICE riot in downtown LA. Now, authorities say they allegedly attacked a police officer with a deadly weapon after rioters hurled objects from the freeway overpass. So, yeah, just a little context to what this story is, okay?
Too much to get to. We're just going to start looking at this stuff right now. If you've not subscribed to my channel yet, why don't you go ahead and do that? Because if you clicked on this, I promise we're aligned. And if you've never seen my stuff before, I'm pretty entertaining. I've been told. What? Do you speak English? What? Did you say pretty or entertaining? I said pretty entertaining. Well, be more entertaining if you knew how to speak English. Okay. Mysterious riot gear handed out to LA protesters, and that's raising questions. That is.
So a lot of people are making bones about this whole situation where there was riot gear being given to the protesters, right? And of course, a lot of people's conspiracy theory hats start going in here. Oh, it's the government. Oh, it's Israel. It's these people behind the scenes. It's this, it's that. It's the Wizard of Oz. Well, the reality is that there are a lot of people out there who are very wealthy that happen to support this riot for one reason or another. And they just happen to have put their money where their mouth is. And they decided to put their money where their mouth is in a cause that they believe in. Now, Fresh Melon Juice, shout out to him. He says it's Soros. Well, we don't know that, right? And understand this, right? Soros is not the only wealthy man in the world. You have to remember this is Hollywood. After all, there's a lot of Hollywood actors that lean towards the left. And as a result of leaning towards the left, well, it's not that far fetched that with their wealth, they're going to, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But Fresh Melon Juice says, oh, we know. We know as in that it's George Soros. That is I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I we just don't have proof, right? But it's not far fetched. It is plausible. It's not something that is out of the realm for Soros to do something like that, right? So, but on any regard, yeah, let's continue on with this.
It's very interesting. We should definitely look at that. Hey, you want to know what else we should look at? Fake images and conspiracy theories swirl around LA protests. That's the New York Times covering this, dude. Disinformation spreading on social media platforms has stoked an already tense situation. Oh, is that right? Sure. That's the way to cover this, dude.
So now they're talking about fake images that they are putting out there in the riots. Now, what's interesting about that? I watched the Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise, right? And one of the storylines that they have in there is that they basically put out fake news out there to the world, and nobody really knows what is true or what is real anymore, which is a very interesting plot that comes from a real life scenario, which is sort of happening right here, right? So they're talking about fake images, AI. So now we are finally seeing the unfortunate side of AI and yeah, the unfortunate technicalities that come with that. Okay, so Elariza says, as someone who saw the protests done to my country, I think you guys should solve your problems in a different way. This way, you are just making your enemies happy. Okay, as someone who saw protests done to my country, what part of the world you are from, Elariza? Let me know what part of the world you are from so I can understand in context what you mean by that. So, okay.
As opposed to maybe looking at the unbelievable right. Look at this. How people in the 1920s fed the.
Hmm.
Okay.
Oh, Iran. Okay, so this is okay, so you're speaking for Iran. Okay, so you've had protests in Iran before. Okay, okay. So let me understand now. Now that I understand you're from Iran. Okay, as someone who saw protests done in my country, which is Iran, I think you guys should solve your problems in a different way. This way you are this way, you are just making your enemies happy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Like for example, the Iranian regime is looking at this right now. Like, okay, yes, you know what? This is something that is good for us, right? Creating civil unrest. Obviously, China, they love this, right? Um, maybe other terrorist organizations out there, obviously they're going to love these things, right? Because there's opportunities there. Also, the criminals as well. Obviously, with all the looting that you've seen going on, that obviously creates, yeah, a different haven for, uh, how do I say this? Ill-intended actors, to be exact. So.
So they show this, right? Oh my God, this is not even a real picture. This picture right here saying that there are bricks being dropped off in LA. This is actually from building materials in Malaysia. Oh my God, crazy! This is actually. What about the actual pictures of big like pallets of those cinder blocks being dropped off? What about those? Are you going to cover those? Or are you just going to pretend that this is the only thing that's been on social media? This one thing that has a fake, fake. What about the real ones? Okay, what about the real ones? You want to talk about this though? Okay, mysterious riot gear handed out to LA protesters. I don't know. And that's in Newsweek, by the way. Newsweek, did you say? Newsweek. Newsweek is what you said. I don't know what Newsweek is, but it's Newsweek. Okay. So let's just take a look. I don't even know what. There's a police seen using batons and rubber bullets against LA protesters. Yeah, as they should. Okay, they should be using more than that. All right, so check this out. TV cameras have captured boxes of bionic shields being distributed to protesters in Los Angeles on Monday. Huh. Now, who do you guys think could be supplying riot shields?
Hey, shout out to Drizzy Goat. He says we're on the money with Marab and Kayla. For real, we were. Buck to KO Snoozman. You know what? I did make a prediction in this live stream. What I said was that if it goes the distance, it's going to go to Uzman, and you're going to see a lot of Snoozman situation in that, right? But if it goes in a very dramatic fashion early on, yeah, Buckley is going to knock him out early. Maverick to beat Rose in upset. I picked the opposite on that one. I went with Rose by decision.
So full face masks and boxes of and being handed out, and they were gas masks too. They're being handed out from the back of a pickup truck by two women while a masked driver waited for them to unload the good.
Fresh Melon Juice says, I don't know. Buck has been working on his wrestling. For real, we've seen remnants of that in the Colby Covington fight. But that would probably be the game changer if he does manage to stuff takedowns from Kamaru Usman. But I got to tell you, listen, Kamaru Usman did very well against Khamzat. And that is what I'm basing off my decision is that he did well against probably the best guy in the world right now. That is, we get to prove that in Chicago, August. So Drizzy Goat says Snoozman sucks. He gets whooped. Well, we'll have to wait till Saturday to find out, right? But you go with Buckley on KO. I go with Usman on decision. Let's see how this fares out. We both obviously fared out very well with the Marab and the Kayla Harrison prediction. I didn't predict that Marab was going to finish him, though. That was not something that I would have expected, but nonetheless.
Huh. I wonder who could be supplying those things, George Soros. What'd you say? I said, I wonder who could be supplying those things, George Soros. Are you saying George Soros? I would never say that. I don't make direct implications of specific people doing things. I'm just saying somebody's buying this stuff, right? You know, somebody's buying this stuff and like trying to make people riot, George Soros. Anyway, let's continue. The footage has sparked concerns among some that external.
Buckley might destroy Usman's knee forever with oblique kicks. Wow. You know what, man? You know, Fresh Melon Juice, it's crazy you said that. I was actually training that particular technique yesterday, right? You know, just hitting it on the bag and this and that. And I thought to myself, wow, you know what? This could really mess up somebody's knees, right? And that's sort of one of the complaints that Rampage Jackson had made about John Jones. He's like, oh man, you know, all these oblique kicks that he throws at me, it should be damn near illegal. But man, it's a very effective move nonetheless. So yeah, yeah.
Agitators are facilitating riots by equipping crowds for potential.
Pantoja has the best oblique kicks after John. Yeah. He does. There's some good oblique kicks that I've seen him throw, and I think that's going to be standard in the championship levels as time goes on, right? A lot of guys are going to learn that kick, you know, just like the calf kick, right? It's like a jab. Yes, it is like a jab. You know who used that a lot, or at least practiced it a lot, was Bruce Lee, right? The oblique kicks. It was, you know, it's a very simple strike. There's a lot of simple strikes, get to the point type of strikes that they emphasize in Jeet Kune Do, and John Jones absolutely implemented that. So did Pantoja, and so did John Jones, and you know, and everybody else now that is going to fight at championship level is going to start learning that. Because remember, UFC is a copycat league, right? All you need is just one guy to do one thing right, and the next thing you know, everybody is doing that same thing. So
clashes with police or National Guard. However, others say the masks are safety gear, worn as a precaution after protesters were injured by rubber bullets that the authorities fired. Hey.
Okay, so that's a new one. The masks were used as a protective shield of some sort, especially when the police were firing off tear gases and whatnot. But okay.
Take it from me as someone who watched a lot of this footage, okay? They should have been firing a lot more rubber bullets, and they should have been aiming for people's genitals, maybe, as a way that I could say this. Okay, the times I saw them shooting at people is when they were having bricks and Molotov cocktails and bottles thrown at them. Or I saw in one case some guy kicked a cop, and so the cop shot him in the gut. He still shot him in the gut with the rubber bullet. Okay.
Everybody be asking me, does the Bluetooth actually work, bro? You.
What are the cops supposed to do? Just allow themselves to be attacked, which seems to be what the
And you know what? This is sort of the problem with the escalation, right? Is all of that A former LA sheriff explains what's behind the riots. California Insider. Okay, you know what? There's a lot of content out there that we're going to skip around and get to. So we're going to, please forgive me if I don't finish some of these videos. I mean, I don't have to finish watching all of these videos because this is the
It's
video
great to have you
that
back
we
on.
are watching right
Welcome
now.
back.
Is just the reacting to it. So okay, let's go with California Insider. Obviously, this is a former LA sheriff, and he's going to explain what is behind these riots. Shout out to California Insider, and here we go.
Oh, thanks for having me, Siami.
There's some serious riots going on in LA right now.
Oh, you don't say.
Can you tell us what's happening?
Well, since Friday, we've had an escalation of riotous behavior, and it started with ICE agents executing search warrants at different businesses, and were hiring undocumented and were falsifying paperwork. They had search warrants, they executed the search warrants, but there's a growing network of unions and activists that are trying to do a rapid response. They even call it rapid response network. And they try to swarm the ICE agents and prevent them from either entering or leaving a location that's a target of their search warrant. And that is a crime in of itself to block any law enforcement agent. It doesn't have to be federal, it could be local as well or state from doing their job, getting in the way. That is obstruction of justice. So that happened on Friday, and there was several people arrested, including David Huerta, the head of the Service Employees International Union, one of their branches, and he tried to block the egress of one of the vans carrying the ones that were being detained, and that's a crime. There's no way around it. And unfortunately, the LAPD, the sheriff's department, did not come to the aid of the ICE agents when they were being blocked and under attack, and that is a sad chapter in the history of Los Angeles because that has never happened before.
Omar Tamim says, yo, how are you, my man? Shout out to you, my man.
This is like a whole new area, and it's fraught with political undertones about the sanctuary city policies enacted at the state and the local level versus federal law that really hasn't changed.
Now, you mentioned that the LAPD and the sheriff didn't come to help.
Was here last live, all love, man. Yeah, shout out to you, my man. Thank you for that. Thank you for the heart emoji. Shout out to Omar, Tamim, everybody around the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe because what channel do you know will cover UFC Atlanta that's going on this weekend on top of the LA riots that is happening right here in the very backyard of California, IA. Let's go.
In this situation, can you explain to us how does the laws work?
Well, the permanent policy for the sheriff's department has been in existence for decades. You can go back 50 years. And it always says that you have to come to the aid of an officer, a peace officer, who is under attack or distress in any way. You're supposed to come to their aid. Doesn't mean that you're endorsing or participating in whatever enforcement action they're doing, but by virtue of the fact that they're under attack, you're going to go to their defense. That is your job, literally, in law enforcement. And that doesn't mean you're endorsing, for example, an immigration effort. Doesn't mean you're endorsing that.
Yeah, look, we understand that, right? We understand that, yeah, they all have a job to do, and it doesn't mean that you endorse one way or another. It's just a matter of fact that, hey, you know what? This is what you have to do. And whether you like it or not, or agree with it or not, it's just what you do as, a law enforcement official. And unfortunately, you have to follow orders that sometimes you may not agree with.
If you're coming to their aid. But the sheriff took that position, the board of supervisors, the mayor, the chief of police, that they don't want to be involved in it at all.
So, in other words, the police basically did not help the feds because they felt like, you know what, this is not something that we want to be involved in. And I can kind of understand and see why. Because understand this, right? What they have going on is they have to work within these city limits. And a part of being a police officer, okay, is keeping the peace within your city. And by doing that, sometimes you have to create relations with your fellow citizens, right? So, what trust are you going to gain as a police officer if you go and follow orders from the feds, right? There's a reason why we have checks and balances in the United States, and as a result of that, well, there's a reason why they wanted to exercise their own discretion. Remember what I told you. One thing that's great about America compared to other places in the world, right, is that here, law enforcement officials have the right to create discretion. Let me explain what that means, right? You get pulled over by a cop. How many times have you gotten let go? And then how many times have you not been let go? And then you had to go and, I guess, follow up on your ticket, right? Go to a court hearing or, traffic court or this and that. Or how is it that it went the other side where they did nothing at all, right? They just said, all right, you know what, we're going to let you go with a warning, and then that's that. What is that? That's called discretion. That is within the discretion of the police officer to do so. Same thing here. It is within the discretion of the police officer to cooperate with federal government agents or not cooperate with them. So let's keep that in mind. Let's skip around this a little bit. Let's get to why these riots are happening. Let's
exposing some of their personnel to very serious charges. So it's not a smart idea in their minds. But what did they accomplish? A lot of destruction in the downtown corridor. Another black eye for the issue is when they're going to continue because I think Pam Bondi and Tom Holman, who's the director of ICE, they're saying we're going to continue these enforcement activities. We're not going to be deterred. In fact, Bill Saby, the assistant U.S. attorney, said we're going to continue and we're going to go twice as hard. So whatever effort the local protesters are trying to do is not altering the behavior of the federal agents. It's actually exposing some of their personnel to very serious charges. So it's not a smart idea in their minds. But what did they accomplish? A lot of destruction in the downtown corridor. Another black eye for the reputation of LA and the world, world.
And in terms of controlling these protests so that they don't become violent, is there a way that LAPD and the sheriff or any law enforcement agency can do that? Is it possible to keep these from becoming violent?
Well, one thing they need to do is they need to reach out to organizers of these protests and tell them, hey, you guys want to protest? We'll help you. Hey, you want to do a march down the street, whatever, we'll control traffic and all that. Make your point. Be heard.
Well, here's the thing, right? I don't think that's realistic. I'm going to tell you why, because there's a lot of anger that is going on here, right? A whole lot of anger. Okay, look, here's the thing, right? Let's say if we had an unlawful or not unlawful, but a wrongful accusation of murder or robbery. Okay, that is not as severe as this. I'm going to tell you why there's a lot of emotions going on here. I mean, you're obviously breaking up families, right? This is just something that a lot of right wing MAGA dudes just don't understand. And I get it. You know, there's a lot of ideas and a lot of philosophies that they have that I agree with. But there are also other things that need to be put in question, right? Like this. Is this good where you're going after non-criminals? And that's the reality of it. So
exercise your First Amendment right. But the people are showing up.
It's not that easy to, just have a bunch of cops, help the protesters protest in a lawful manner, right? Sometimes protests can get really ugly, and this is the reality of its ugliness that we're seeing right now.
Up wearing black and masks and helmets and all that stuff. They're not protesters. They're professional agitators, and their goal is destruction. And they can be arrested, they can be detained, they can be dispersed. But the sheriff and the LAPD, they got to start, being decisive in what they're doing. Right now, they're too much waiting and seeing, and they issue orders of, unlawful assembly, but they don't follow up the unlawful assembly order with a move in and starting to disperse, arrest people.
Yeah, that's true, right? They are calling for what do you call it? Unlawful assembly, but they're not truly following up on that particular matter at hand. All right, let's get to what the other people around the world are saying, right? GB News, by the way, one of the best sources of news in Britain, right? Great Britain News. This is the title that they have, right? GB News. Shout outs to GB News, and I believe this man is Patrick Christie, the TV presenter or the news anchor for GB News. Look at the title. This is what the title says: USA on the brink of a civil war. Patrick Christie backs Donald Trump to face down LA immigration riots. Okay, so let's hear what Christie has to say about this in this 14-minute video.
Today, it emerged that an alleged illegal migrant escaped from a deportation flight and ran around the tarmac at Heathrow Airport.
Okay, what is this? A little bit of a satire going on here. Let me give you some context of what he's.
Let's just watch that again without the old Benny Hill sound effects. So, the man was reportedly being sent back to India. He escaped and was running around the UK's busiest airport.
Oh, okay. So this is an Indian man who was supposed to be sent back to India, and then he escaped out of the uh, plane and just started running around the tarmac. Okay.
People in high vis and police desperately tried to grab him. This is obviously a major security breach, but at least we got one of them on a plane by the looks of things, because the breaking news this morning was that the annual bill to keep illegal immigrants in hotels is now £4.7 billion. That is the equivalent of every.
So right now, for them to keep migrants in Britain, right? In the hotel bills, it's literally like 4.7 billion altogether. By the way, England has their own riots going on right now. It's actually related to immigration, but this time it's the white guys that are doing it, the white natives that are doing it, rather than people that are non-indigenous to that land or foreigners of some sort. But yeah.
Every penny of taxation retrieved from the entire population of Manchester. So you tax the whole of Manchester just to pay for illegal immigrants. So everyone in Manchester, right, you go to work, you work your backsides off, you don't break the law, you put food on the table for your children, and you are just being clobbered so that we can pay for illegal immigrants to live rent-free with all the bills paid for, free meals. I mean, look, you don't want to pay for them, do you? No. But here's what happens when you try to deport them. I'm here in Peckham, where protesters have sat in front of a bus. They've slashed the tyres of it and they're barricading themselves in front of it now in an attempt to stop it taking migrants from a hotel nearby on board the Bibby Stockholm. Yeah, rent a mob protesters flash the tyres of deportation buses, or Labour MPs, and indeed our current Prime Minister.
So what does this say here? Home Office plans to deport 50 people to Jamaica on the 11th of February. Cancel the flights until the lessons learned review is published and its recommendations implemented, or risk repeating the Windrush scandal. Over 170 colleagues and I wrote urging the Prime Minister to act. So sort of a little bit of a relative situation that's going on in England right now. Yeah, they have. No, I'm sorry, that was not England. The anti-immigration riots are happening. That's actually in Ireland. Sorry, got them mixed up there, but obviously the same region.
Might sign letters to help keep them in the country, but it's the same story from the far left all across the Western world, I'm afraid. These are live images from Los Angeles right now, as we are expecting another night of all-out riots erupting at President Trump's plans to deport illegal immigrants. So just hours ago, 700 US Marines were sent in alongside the National Guard that Trump deployed last night. Well, I mean, it looks as though they're on the brink of civil war. It's about 2 p.m. currently, roughly what you're looking at there in LA. So we wait, don't we, for another evening probably of wanton lawlessness, all because a man wants to secure his country's borders. A man, by the way, who said he was going to do that, then people voted for him in record numbers.
But here's the thing, right? It's not that simple, and I think that The one missing piece, and you got to remember, this is a foreign news network that is covering American politics, right? What they don't understand is that there are aspects of uh, people that are innocent being detained and just sent to, places that they've never been just because they were born there or because their parents were born there. And yeah, there's just a lot of nuances in this that I just don't think people who have a one-sided track mentality of this particular subject really can't understand. But moving on.
Here are some of the worst moments that far left activists did, and illegal immigrants as well. They kicked off about the deportation. Tensions rising high as well, grief. And here is how the left-wing media described it. So get ready for
Here is how the left-wing media described it.
the iconic phrase again.
Demonstrations have been going on right outside the federal detention center. Most of those demonstrators were
Hey,
very
look at my man. Look at my man in the sweater. He says, "I fly packs." He said, "I fly packs." You know what that means? For those that know, know. If you know what packs are, yeah. Anyways,
peaceful. They were chanting. They were
Yeah, well, there we go. They're mostly peaceful, aren't they? I hope that President Trump faces that mob down, and we need to do the same in Britain. Latest figures show that there were 32,345 asylum seekers staying in up to 210 hotels. It costs £41,000 a year to house each of them. Most of them need to
see,
go.
now this is what's different about this particular immigration in the UK and Ireland as it opposed in the United States, right? Obviously, the type of migrants they are dealing with there are migrants from India, migrants from North Africa, migrants from places of really impoverished and destituted countries. Now, the difference with the United States is that these Mexicans that come out here are actually working and actually contributing to the economy. That's sort of the difference. So a little bit of a false equivalence on the part of GB News, but I sort of understand and see what he's saying though.
And Britain needs a leader that will stand up for British taxpayers and not cave in to a renter mob of hard left activists. They're not the ones paying for them, are they? So thoughts my panelists here. You've got political commentator Emma Trimble, got former Conservative Party Chairman Sir Jay Berry, and of course, as well, political commentator Andy Twelves. Yeah, Emma, I'll start with you on this. It does appear that at the moment, all over the Western world, if you try to deport illegal immigrants, then it kicks off, doesn't it? What's the problem there? How do we solve it?
Well, I mean, I think in the United States, especially, but increasingly so here, it's organised far leftist movements that have a non-peaceful agenda. It's if every
Okay, so they always sort of gear this towards left wing agendas. Look, I'm not saying that's not true, but I don't think that's entirely true. I think there's opportunists, right? People that see looting as an opportunity to, run across, let's say, new Apples or new iPads or new computers or new clothes, whatever it is that they could find that's out there that's going to be easily looted.
everybody remembers the whole fiery but peaceful scene of the reporter with the fires, fires behind her.
Yeah.
We're seeing the same thing again. I mean, these are not peaceful protests; these are riots. I think President Trump is absolutely right to send in the army to deal with it, to stop it from breaking out into further chaos. Because it's obvious that law enforcement
Oh, gotta hold on a second here.
on it. They were literally smashing up and torching police cars. And here in the UK, I mean, it's the classic line that there should be no taxation without representation. People do not want immigrants coming here. We shouldn't have to be paying our taxes to put them up. And like you said, having it be a bill as large as everybody's tax in Manchester is absurd.
What I think is really interesting about all of this is that we see you're looking at live shots if you're watching this on TV or online at the moment of LA as are gearing up for what is almost inevitably going to be another night of rioting. Okay, but I showed you some clips earlier on, Jake, of that time in Peckham where there was a deportation bus and protesters turned out and slashed the tyres. I am amazed that we aren't seeing protests really on the streets of Britain. People who say, "You're asking me to pay a load of tax for illegal migrants." Well, obviously, actually, I mean, the first thing is, I wish we had a leader in this country, and we didn't see it in any of the previous Conservative prime ministers, we definitely don't see it in Keir Starmer, who was strong enough to take actions like this in the UK. I would be delighted if we sent in teams of law enforcement to illegal pick up people illegally working in the UK who have no right to be here. And yes, if people came out like they did in Peckham and did criminal damage to try and prevent those legitimate arms of the state getting rid, arresting, taking control of people who shouldn't be in this country, then they should be arrested too. President Trump is absolutely right. Just as Keir Starmer correctly sent the police onto the streets to clamp down on the riots here.
So, in other words, what they're saying is that they agree with what Keir Starmer and Trump are doing in their respective countries. Fresh Melon Juice says that's why the left let them in. Okay, yeah. Uh, you know what? I don't know if that's a cause of an agenda that the left is trying to do, or if it's just one of those situations where, hey, you know what? This is just what they do in terms of how do I say this? In terms of their overall policies and what they do anyway, as you know, as the ethos of their party. I mean, look, isn't it a liberal agenda anyway to let people in no matter what part of the world they are at? So yeah, man, that's sort of what we are witnessing here. So yeah.
The appalling murder of those young girls in Southport. President Trump is right to leave no stone unturned and put force on the streets to stop these lawless riots. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sorry, but is this not the way to do it, Andy? I mean, we did show a clip earlier on there. I must admit, I couldn't make out entirely what was going on in that particular clip. I do think it might have been a US police officer or marshal or whatever they're called there, firing a rubber bullet that hit a journalist. So I'm not trying to claim that, everything's absolutely hunky-dory law enforcement-wise over there. But the general principle of sending in the military to try and keep a handle on things like this, for people who are basically just opposing a democratically elected leader who wants to deport illegal migrants.
Sure. I mean, just from the journalist thing, it wasn't that a rubber bullet.
Now, look, I don't know if that's all, you know, I don't know if that's all entirely accurate, right? Yes, elite. Look, here's the thing. I need you to understand, right? Discretion is one of the blessings that you get out of living in America, right? Discretion of the police officers, discretion of federal law, discretion of state law, and discretion of each judges. Fresh Melon Juice says at Elariza, do you remember when women could hay their hair out in Iran? Yeah, yeah, that was probably in the 1970s and 80s or so.
Hit the journalist, the police officer or the marshal, whatever it was, saw her and shot her in the back. Like it was clearly purposeful, and that's disgraceful. And if that's the state of what's going on, I'm not really that surprised. I think, talk about democratically elected. Trump has threatened to arrest Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, because he wouldn't give consent to send the National Guard in to California, which is his right. So if you talk about, undermining elected representatives, what's Trump doing?
That is true. That is what Trump is doing, right? He is undermining, an elected official. By the way, I told you everything about America is discretion of law enforcement, discretion of state officials, as opposed to the federal government. So this bloke right here, he's saying the right things, isn't he? Good on you, bloke. You're saying the right things, isn't it?
We need to be a bit stronger over here, Andy. I mean, we see it time and time again when a democratically elected government in the shape of the ones here want to try to deport people. And by the way, you're looking there at cars, SUVs waving Mexican flags on the street of Los Angeles there. So that's where we're at. But you see it time and time again, them slashing the tires on deportation.
Okay, we'll go back to this video. I want to play the video that I did on the riots, just on audio form, day 5 of yesterday, right? So let me play this right here real quick. I'll which is going to be day 5 of the Los Angeles riots. By the way, I have been absolutely immersed into this particular subject matter at hand. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. The reason why I got into this subject so much is because I think that what we are witnessing right now is cultural relevance that's going to be a part of history. Big Ink MMA says, hello, how are you, my man? So, first one to tap in here. Shout out to Big Ink MMA. One to tap in here. Right? So shout out to my man right here. We have tremendous types of conversations to talk about, straight right into the point. As I was walking right around my neighborhood, right, and I need you to imagine the type of neighborhood that I live in, right? So it's a suburb, but it's also a countryside, near a countryside that's not too far from the main city of Sacramento. So I want you to imagine that, right? The type of demographics we have here. White guy pulls up with his pickup truck. He has his buddy with him, has a big American flag in the back of his truck. And so as I'm looking at the back of his truck with his big American flag, I was like, all right, well, not something that I'm vehemently going to be offended by. I mean, why should I, right? This is a guy who is representing his country. This is the way that he feels. It's totally none of my business. And to a certain extent, I can understand the sentiments that come from nationalists. For example, the aspect of feeling so not only entitled, but feeling rather not entitled, but also feeling rather well compelled to uh, defend what you would call, let's say, a right wing or a conservative position, right? But then I noticed and I thought to myself, you know what? A guy like this, somebody like, let's say, of a liberal persuasion, would go up to him and say, you know what? You must have a small blank such and such. Now, why would you say something to a guy like that that has an American flag sitting in the back of his pickup truck? Well, for one, you just happen to disagree with him. So what you're going to do is lower him to the lowest common denominator that you can find. But you don't know if that statement is true. You know what I'm talking about. You see a guy with a big American flag in the back of his car, and you often think to yourself, oh, well, this guy must have a small such and such. You know what I'm talking about. You know the vibes. Always trying to lower you down to the lowest common denominator. And I need you to understand that both the left and the right and the center and the Islamists and the people that are everything in between absolutely do this, and they absolutely engage upon it. Now, why is that? It is because whenever you are confronted with an opinion that you don't like, guess what you're going to do? You're going to go and hate that other guy for having that particular opinion. And as a result of having that opinion, you feel and are compelled to wanting to be enemies with this person. It's just a natural human state reaction thing. So, yeah, so as I was saying, right, it is just a natural human, reaction to sort of feel like, all right, you know what? Uh, I don't like what this guy is saying. I don't like what he has to say about this particular matter at hand. So therefore, I'm just going to hate him. I'm just not even going to listen to anything that he says. So obviously, we go from uh, new GB News in England covering this particular story, and we can also go into. Let's see what else is here. LA riots. Da, da, da. No, no, no. Hold on a second here. Where was that video of okay, yeah, so USA. So if you want to see the rest of that video, obviously go to GB News. It is USA on the brink of a civil war. Let's hear what Joe Rogan had to say about this particular topic. because I know Joe wrote. We're gonna jump around. Obviously, these are very long clips for us to take a look at as a whole entirety. But I know Joe Rogan had something to say about this. Who is he talking to about this? So
Were you recently
let's see
injured?
here. What is happening in California? Joe Rogan. Who did he talk to here? I don't know what episode this is, but it's one of his buddies that he talks to. No one really famous. So, all right, let's hear what he has to say.
The LA Fire Fund, you know, they had this big show, big fundraiser. They raised $100 million. Wait till you find out where the money went. It's James Lee did a thing about it on Instagram. Yeah, and there's been articles written about it where people are like, where's the money? The way they distribute the money is so crazy. You're gonna read this and you're never gonna want to donate to charity again, because you find out what charities are really, what a lot of these non-profits are really about. The lady running the charity that got the money makes almost $1 million a year. BLM, me too. Yep. This. A bunch. Same lady. It's all. No. But it's like, well, let me get a same fucking lady. Listen to this. I watched this.
I looked into it a little bit. We watch it, but what they say though is that within the first month they distributed half of that money.
Hold on, before you press play on this. Hold on, that guy with the fishing hat.
Okay, let's skip over this.
A complete crazy person who's insincere enough that smart people recognize it.
Yeah.
But that like really dull-minded blue, no matter who people are like, he's a winner. That guy, he's got my vote. I'll tell you what, he can win. He can win this for us.
But the problem is that that's not wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom is a fearsome political talent, and his willingness to do or say anything and do it with a straight face, with that sincere voice and that cool, swoopy hair. I mean,
I love that he keeps getting busted too.
Yeah.
I love that he got busted during the pandemic, eating inside with no mask on. He's just fucking.
The shamelessness on that guy is like, it's like a laboratory specimen.
Yeah.
I mean, is an interesting guy and a fascinating person in that way. I'm not a fan. I disagree with him politically, but I don't think he should be underestimated.
All right, there's not much on this topic at hand. Let me see what Valuement Entertainment had to say about this.
Extracted. There were elements.
So California is an absolute mess right now. Absolute mess right now. We have so many videos to show you to the point that we don't even know where to get started with. Rob, why don't you just start off with a couple of these clips? So the riots started because of what's going on with ICE being there. And it's not pretty. Gavin Newsom, originally, they're like, well, everything is peaceful. I don't know why they're reacting. Nothing's going on here. People are just peaceful protests. Mayor Bass, peaceful protests. And then all of a sudden it got so bad that I posted a video saying, hey, are you guys at all going to say anything that you're not supporting this behavior? You're not condoning this behavior? And then one by one, you saw everybody blame Donald Trump for all of it. Rob, if you can go on Twitter and show a couple of things that I tweeted about Gavin Newsom. And one of the things that was, go look right there. So look at this. They're sitting there. Gavin Newsom tweets out saying, join LAPD and LASD and state emergency officials in LA. We respond to protests provoked by chaos from Washington. We're here to keep the peace, not playing into Trump's political games. Now watch it. Go on the picture, Rob. Zoom in a little bit. They're not playing political at all. So there's one guy over there taking pictures. One girl's taking pictures. Cameras, just to show, like, look how hard we're working on this here, right? And then all the way at the top, I said, if you can go back, Rob, I said, hey, it seems you blame Trump for every crisis in California. California wildfire, it's Trump's fault. Empty reservoir, it's Trump's fault. California $12 billion bill, budget deficit, his fault. Riots in LA, now it's again Trump's fault. So what are you guys going to be doing? Then he responds and says, I cannot believe they're sending National Guard against its people, Rob. You have those clips of what he's saying on, trashing Trump and just calling him out. I don't know which ones you got, Rob.
Yes, I have Gavin Newsom, where he announces that they will be filing suit against the United States government for sending in the.
Play the clip. Play the clip, Rob.
All right, let's hear Gavin Newsom in action with that.
Is that the one?
Yep. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the wrong clip. I apologize. That's the wrong clip. That's from 2024, where he has.
Rob until you find it.
Here it is.
Well, that's it.
in the White House, there might be a television on, and he might be watching us
I hope so.
right now.
Yeah, you can learn something.
What might you say to him if I'll give you the floor, you have the opportunity, what you weren't able to say to him on that phone call or calls that he hasn't taken today?
I mean, where's your decency, Mr. President? Stop. Rescind this order. It's illegal and unconstitutional. And I said it. I'll say it again. It's immoral. You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving, and you're not. And you're putting real people's lives at risk. This is a serious moment, and it requires serious leadership. It's time for you to be a commander in chief of the United States of America. And I will have your back if you want to work in a relationship of trust and truth in the spirit of our founding fathers. But you come after poor kids, you come after families, we will do everything in our power to stand up and stand in the way.
Governor Gavin Newsom, what time are you filing the lawsuit tomorrow?
Very early in the morning. I'd love to do it tonight, but we got lawyers working on the brief.
Tom Owen, the border czar, said to me yesterday, he did not rule out literally arresting you, nor Mayor Bass.
Yeah, so that doesn't really create a lot of helpful relationships or trustworthy relationships when you're out threatening to sue people, right? So that's sort of what's happening here. All right, so yeah, that's Valuement Entertainment. Let's take a look at this. This is a live one right here. I've never seen this channel before. Hot Zone with Chuck Holton. Okay, let's check out what this is.
I couldn't, and I told you about it the other day. There's this kid that was shining a green laser in these federal agents' eyes at the courthouse, and they started shooting pepper balls at him, and I was getting hit with those pepper balls because I was standing behind that guy, and I was trying to get him to stop. And then he accused me of being a cop, and I almost got my arm chipped off. That was exciting. Okay. So, folks, we got more than 3,000 people watching right now. And so please hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and go to chuckholton.com and become a supporter over there. But you want to make sure you're subscribed to this podcast for sure. Right. So it's mind-boggling to me that the city of Minneapolis paid out almost $1 million to journalists who were hit by projectiles as they were filming these riots. Because if you're in the riot, that just might happen. You might get hit by tear gas. You might get hit by rubber bullets. That's occupational hazard. Comes with the territory.
Yeah, that's true, man. Journalism comes with occupational hazard for sure.
Those events and those payouts are creating now an incentive for people to go out and protest and confront the police, attack the police.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. That now you are emboldened as a journalist to get payouts because you go there, you get hit, and you confront these cops. You're going to get paid.
They're going, well, I want to pay out too. So I'm going to run out there and I'm going to get myself shot. Matter of fact, I saw a video on the RT website of a guy walking around in the street getting lit up by police with pepper balls, and he's dancing around, but he won't go away because he wants to get shot. And why does he want to get shot? Some people are just too stupid to come in out of the rain. No, he wants to get shot
to get paid.
Because he's going to probably sue the city of Los Angeles, and knowing the activist judges that they have there, he'll probably win. And so cities are now operating in fear of that liability, and that what that leads to is hesitant enforcement. Very often, city leaders are telling the police to not take a heavy hand against these rioters. And so what does that mean? It means the rioters win. Now, I call this the lawsuit tax. The lawsuit tax is just a hidden drain on really every aspect of our society. We live in a hyper-litigious culture. There's no question about it. And a hyper-litigious culture leads to skyrocketing costs. Insurance premiums.
That's a very good point, right? Litigious cultures where you can just sue anybody and throw litigations at them. That is what is going to cause a lot of hyperinflation and the cost of living to go up. So, okay, we move on, right? Because there's so much content out there, right? We can't just listen to all of it all at once. Shout outs to Hot Zone with Chuck. Now let's get to the Rubin Report. Let's check out what the Rubin Report has to say about this right here.
Here, now more advanced than ever. Train smarter, sleep deeper.
Are going to affect your life? I suspect it is. This is one of my favorite videos of Gavin Newsom.
So the Rubin report, he's live right now. He says, "Did Gavin Newsom make the LA riots much worse?" So
On the audio, not sure if that's on the governor's end, but we're working to get that production up and running for you so you can listen in. We certainly will have excerpts of what the governor has said, but we're efforting to get the audio working so we can hear Governor Newsom's speech. We do know that he did file.
Well, I mean, it's just a perfect metaphor for everything with this guy. But here's a 7-second one of audio of him when he did get the audio working again. And listen to this. I really want you to listen to this. This is a threat. He is threatening because he knows what he's doing. And the Democrats are coordinating with nonprofits to expand this throughout the country.
California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next.
That's an interesting thing to say. How do you know that other states are next? And is it that you want this everywhere, Gavin? Obviously you do.
okay, that is interesting that Gavin Newsom did say that. He did say that other states could be next. Now, I don't know if I would toss that up as a threat of any kind. The way that I would toss that up is projection or the possibility, or at least, a hypothesis that he is making out, saying, you know what, this could potentially happen because obviously a lot of people are angry about this. There's enough people that are upset, and it won't just be California; it'll be other states. So I mean, you look at Chicago; they're already marching up with the protests. They're already doing it in the East Coast. They're already doing it in Atlanta, and a lot of these blue states, for that regard.
Just more of a liberal position than that. But the left was never going to stop. The left never knows when to say, okay, this is too far. We want to progress for the sake of progression. And now, as they are about to progress over the cliff, Gavin Newsom is telling you it ain't going to stop with us. We're going to expand it. So where is it going to be expanded? Well, let's start in New York City.
Right here. This is New York.
All right, so that's just a tiny bit of what's going on in New York City. I have extremely well placed people in, I can't even really say, but like it's getting bad there, and there are plans to make it much worse, obviously. Interestingly, when they talk about globalize the Intifada, and the girl that was up there, she has a Hamas headband on. Hamas killed, I think, 46 Americans. So even if you don't give a shit about the Jews and you don't give a shit about Israel or anything else, Hamas within the last 2 years, killed 46 Americans. Americans should care about that, but they want to globalize the Intifada from Mexico to Gaza, and that also is a fascinating thing about this. They are parading this. A state that never existed, Palestine, has only been.
All right, so let's move on to the next topic at hand right here.
In Los Angeles could be just the start, and other cities should take notice. Yesterday, he visited a big U.S. Army base ahead of a series of protests scheduled around the country on Saturday. Ed O'Keefe is at the White House. Ed, good morning. Glad, good to see you. The president continues projecting military strength, both in the face of the protests in California and as he gets ready for the big parade he's wanted for years here in Washington.
Now, so Trump is having a military parade going on while all of this is going on. And I got to tell you, man, this right here spells civil war in the making. I'm going to tell you why. You have states that are going up against the federal government. Does that sound very familiar in the first Civil War of America? Right? The South wanted to continue slavery. And so the North, with the Lincoln regime and the Abraham Lincoln administration, said, no, that's not how we're going to do things here. They oppose it, and they're like, all right, well, you know what? You're going to mess up our economy, right? Because let's be honest, slavery was in economic prosperity uh, for for America. I mean, for that's just what it was, unfortunately. But it's inhumane nonetheless. So Yeah, man, this is all brewing up to be a civil war for sure.
Washington, design protesters will be met with force.
God bless the U.S. Army and God bless the USA.
President Trump at an event marking 250 years of the U.S. Army at Fort Bragg in North Carolina defended deploying troops into Los Angeles.
What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and on national sovereignty.
Earlier, the president had warned what's unfolding in California is just the start.
I can inform the rest of the country that when they do it, if they do it, they're going to be met with equal or greater force than we met right here.
He called out those who might be planning to protest on Saturday in Washington as the military holds a massive parade.
Okay, so they are planning a protest in Washington, D.C., as there is a military parade going on. I need you to understand that, right? Listen to me right now. If you're in Washington, D.C., look, people are going to go, right? And not everybody in the world is going to see this. But if you're going to Washington, D.C. this Saturday, do not go for your safety because I could spell out something very bad happening this Saturday based on that. I don't have a very good feeling about it, but rest assured, it's not a safe bet to go to Washington. Okay. Oh,
This is really authoritarian. Really authoritarian.
Met with very big force.
This is really authoritarian. Chuck Hagel is an Army veteran, former Republican senator, and served as one of President Obama's defense secretaries. What would be your biggest concern
When you start inflicting using your national army against citizens who are protesting, that's the beginning of real trouble in a country.
Hagel also worries about the consequences of the commander-in-chief's feud with Democratic officials.
This is clearly politicizing our military. When you have the president who is mocking the governor of California,
The governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles.
yeah, you see that? As soon as he mentions Gavin Newsom and the mayor of Los Angeles, all these mindless drones, guys who can't think for themselves start booing, boo, boo. Now, look, I get it, man. I can't stand Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass. That, oh, man, I don't even want to say it because it's politically incorrect. But in any regard, yeah.
They're incompetent.
and it could get deeper and could get worse. So that's what our senior officers are worried about and will continue to worry about as to how the president further intends to use the military against American citizens.
Now, the president, when he was at Fort Bragg, announced that he's restoring the names of 7 Army bases that were originally named for Confederate military figures. This reverses a renaming process that was ordered by Congress and completed under President Biden.
All right, and let me ask you about something else. It seems that Elon Musk is backing off from his feud with President Trump this morning. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, do you remember that fight? It's like only just a few days ago.
Yeah, so Elon Musk is obviously backing down from the Trump thing, and you know what, man? I think the reason why he's doing that is because he just feels like, hey, you know what? There's just a lot of things going on right now. You know what? Let's just save this for another day. But all right, what is this right here? Tanks involved in military parade have been modified for DC streets. Okay, that's not really that important. Okay, so let's see. Chicago streets boil with anger. Okay, so 1 hour ago. All right, let's now remember. Okay, this can spill over into other parts of the United States. Okay, so let's take a look at what they are talking about here. This is just about 1 hour ago in Chicago. So, okay, so let's hear what they have to say in Chicago right here. Fresh Melon Juice says this never happens in red states. Oh, of course not, because you wouldn't need the military there, right? I mean, you already have rednecks with guns in that part of the United States. So yeah, that's definitely something they're going to do. live National Guard briefing in Ocean County. Okay, what is this? Baby, you guys up. All right, so if you want to see the rest of that video, obviously I can't show anything too violent because yeah, that will flag things in YouTube. But all right, let's go with Fox 11 Los Angeles right here. There's a briefing with the National Guard. Hold on, let's hear this.
Yeah. These are strictly military planning tents. And they're also where soldiers are being housed right now. And we have military vehicles here. Yeah.
Are they for this particular operation, those particular sentences?
They are. They are. Thank you.
Does the operation have a name on your side? Does the operation have a name on your side? They can't go with the FBI. No, it's not.
All right, let's hear what
It's the 4700, all the Army and all the Marines together. So the task force 51 is 4700 altogether. Yes. For the time being. And officially the California National Guard.
Okay, let's start from the very beginning.
In particular, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
And ready for questions?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was my first question is what exactly are the borders? I know that the National Guard so far has been protecting one of the federal buildings in downtown, one of the federal buildings in Westwood, but there's still a bunch of soldiers who are here. So what really will the job be now that the Guard is federalized, now that the Marines are here and here too? That's another question.
They're heading close to here, not here on this location. That is correct. 700 Marines. So with our orders directed by the President, the Secretary of Defense has mobilized. Right now it's 4,700 personnel, so 4,000 from the California National Guard, 700 Marines.
Yeah, for real, he has no chin, huh? You know, but hey, you know what? He's a general.
Federal agencies.
A fresh melon juice. The dude is a general, right? He's not like he does. I guess he doesn't. I guess it would be nice if he was physically fit, but it's not the same requirement. But I mean, he doesn't have a chin, but it doesn't mean that he's not physically fit. It just means that he just doesn't have a strong jawline. Impossible to KO. I don't know about that. I mean, it's there, right? You hit him in the temple and this and that. I don't know, man. I ain't trying to knock out no general or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, but I see what you're saying though, Fresh Melon Juice. Shout out to you, man.
Our federal partners, their personnel as they conduct their federal mission, and even more in particular as they do the enforcement of federal law, and then also to protect all federal assets and federal facilities that are located in the locations where there have been demonstrations lately.
Right. It's been said that the mission is to protect the federal buildings and the federal personnel. Will the National Guard and Marines be protecting ICE on raid?
Yes, they would be doing cordon on that and that's strictly for the protection of the personnel as they do their job, their federal job.
Can you specify how many of the troops have been used so far on those ICE operations? And do you have any concerns about National Guard troops being pulled into like kind of regular law enforcement?
No, so I'll answer that in two parts. First, I don't have the numbers that are on the ICE done the actual ICE operations. We have 1,000 that have done operations so far. That is both the protection of the installations or the federal buildings, and then also protection of federal law enforcement as they conduct their mission. On Title 10, on federal orders, these soldiers do not conduct law enforcement operations that like arrest or search and seizure. They are strictly used for the protection of the federal personnel as they conduct their operations and to protect them to allow them to do their federal mission.
And to follow up on that, if in the case of recent ICE raids where we've had protesters show up to those in downtown, we have seen the vandalism of federal buildings. I was reading up on Task Force 51, and I know that they're especially trained with de-escalation and crowd control.
Okay, so that's interesting to know that yes, you will see the U.S. Army and the U.S. Marines help assist with the raids with ICE. So just so you know, yeah, that's important to know right here. Very important information that I think a lot of people are not getting if they're not paying attention to this particular press conference or media scrum that they got going on.
Rules of use of force. At what point do these soldiers engage? What would that engagement look like?
So strict, yeah, sure. So strictly for the protection of the federal personnel and the protection of the federal building, they're allowed to temporarily detain and wait for law enforcement to come and arrest them. They do not do any arrest. They're strictly there to detain, to wait.
Okay, so that's important to know, right? The Army is not there to detain. Uh, I mean, they're there to detain, but they're not there to make official arrests. So that's very important to understand here.
For law enforcement to come and handle those demonstrators.
When they go, what the difference between what the Marines and what the National Guard will be doing?
They'll be doing the same operations.
When they go on these raids, are the troops armed with ammo and their weapons, or only on their person?
Only on their person.
Major, and excuse the question, but we were interviewing people on the street, and somebody asked, "The Marines are coming. What do you think of that?" And a person on the street said, "Aren't the Marines at sea? Aren't they specialized in sea worthy operations? Why not the Army? Why Marines?"
Actually, all federal military personnel, it is part of their mission. So in this case, it was what was closest and what could be used at the time.
And so that's very important to understand, right? The Marines are the easiest to use right now because they are in California and 29 Palms is in Southern California. So their deployment was very easy and straight to the point right there. So
detail about is 4,700. How many are already here? Have you identified these additional National Guard troops? I think there's 2,000. When are they arriving? And when and where are the Marines going?
Okay, so there are 2,000 on duty right now that are actually ready to perform operations and performing operations. There are additional 2,000 that are mobilizing right now. They're mustering is the term and preparing. They'll be ready tomorrow at approximately 1,500 to be ready to come and start their training to get their personnel in because they are National Guard. They are reserve component. And then the Marines are here at Naval Weapons Station, Seal Beach.
When will we expect to see Marines on the streets in Los Angeles?
I can't give you exactly when that will be, but soon. They're doing their.
They probably are already there and they just can't announce it. That's just not what Marines do. They don't announce when they're going to come or this and that, right? Even in the shock and awe of the Iraq war, right? You didn't know when they were going to come. Obviously, they were the first to fight, right? That's sort of the Marine Corps motto is that, first to fight, whether land, air, and sea. But yeah.
Training right now. It is not. We train for a federal mission for warfight, so they're right now going through civil disturbance training and the standing rules of force training.
What the rules of engagement?
Well, so really for rules of engagement, we are strictly here to protect federal facilities and to protect federal agencies and their personnel and allow them to do their job. We are strictly there to help them do their job and to protect them.
What happens if there's a use of force or a shooting? Who investigates that?
That will be law enforcement.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that was a dumb question, right? I mean, that's not something that Marines or Army personnel are trained to do. I think that was a very dumb question, in my opinion.
I know you can't say when the Marines will be on the street. Is it safe to say they won't be on the streets today?
They will not be on the streets today.
At what point does military aid stop? When protests slow, or if ICE feels satisfied with their raids?
It's strictly to the officer or to the agent in charge when they're doing the operations. They do that, so we have worked out coordination with them. We meet, we do rehearsals, totally understand their operation, conduct the operation, and then we leave.
Is there a plan in place to call in even more? Because originally it started with the first 2,000 National Guard. Now there's 2,000 more coming.
Ma'am, I do not know.
A question on, and I think it's a follow-up from Carly's question. So right now, is there a date where for sure Task Force 51 will still be enacted till, or is it a day-by-day situation?
It's a day-by-day situation. We've been ordered to temporarily protect both buildings and federal personnel.
And there is a suit by the state of California that I'm sure you're aware of, where the Attorney General is saying the Marines should only be deployed under this law from the 1800s that says, you know, only civilian police can police civilians. So he's trying to get the Marines out. Your response to that?
That is, they're working it. It's beyond my scope. I'm here to run operations. They are currently been ordered to come and support this operation. So that's what I'm doing right now.
And where are the 700 Marines from? I know mainly the Guard members are like 95% from California. Where did these Marines come from? Did the 29 Palms come?
They did. They come from 29 Palms.
Can you specify where exactly these resources are used? Is it just City of Los Angeles? Like how far is the range?
Currently just City of Los Angeles.
How many hours of training do they get for civil unrest?
Civil unrest, it's pretty much a 2-day set training. So it's very extensive. It is all about civil disturbance, how to control crowds and protection of facilities.
And you said the Marines will only be used in the city of Los Angeles.
I do not know that. It's just depending on where the federal agencies will need to have them.
No, what they're going to do is they're also going to patrol cities, the areas outside of Los Angeles. Because remember, when the Marines came into Iraq, right, they had force recon teams surrounding the city of Baghdad to sort of you know give cover of understanding who was going in and out, and as a result of that, yeah, creating you know an intelligence apparatus surrounding the city and also just surveillance all over the place, right? So yeah, they're not just going to operate within the city, right? They're going to operate in other areas outside of it just to cover all bases.
Be used.
Okay, so we could see them in other places.
Yes.
Do you foresee, I mean, can you give us some sense? It sounds like they're protecting federal property, they're also protecting federal officers and immigration enforcement. How many of the troops are being used for one versus the other? How much of this operation is going to one task versus the other?
It depends on the operations. Their operations depend on the day and what they're doing. We're prepared to provide up to right now.
Okay, so we got about audio on the video is fine, but couldn't hear you speak. Okay, so what I wanted to say about that was yes. What I was saying is that the question that one of the media people asked, are the Marines going to be just specifically within the city or also outside of it? The general, the two-star general, said, "Well, I don't know that answer." My guess is that they are going to have force recon teams surrounding the area. I mean, well, obviously, this is not a force recon team. This is just, a conventional, infantry squad, right? But they are going to surveillance areas outside of, Los Angeles, sort of what they did when they did the shock and awe in Iraq, right? Before they went into Baghdad, they obviously had to surround that place and give it proper surveillance. But if you want to see let's play the rest of this. We got just a couple of minutes left of this.
Can you talk about how prepared troops on both sides are going to be should they are needed to step in?
Well, we go through extensive training to do this. They are trained to use their weapons, to actually have their weapons, to do their personal protection. they're doing that. But this is crowd control. This is stuff that we do not do usually, and this is working with federal law enforcement and really working. They're in the lead. We're supporting them. It's really about protecting federal facilities.
Okay, so in other words, just understand this, right? It is about just assisting them, not really anything about, being there to be the head honcho of the investigation or be the boss of the particular mission at hand, right? This is a homeland security mission. This is an immigration agency, mission, and the Marines and the National Guard are just there as a supporting fighting force. So look, this is all that I have for this live stream right now. I'm going to leave you with the first couple of minutes that I did with the live stream yesterday to sort of give you guys an update of what's going on. So with that in mind, I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There's still more content to come. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one, inshallah. And this is what I'm noticing with this riot. So yesterday, what we saw was sort of the side of the people that are for the ICE immigration roundabouts that they're doing right now. The people who are into it and that like it, I think you're going to like the previous stream yesterday. Today, I'm going to try to take a look at it from the perspective of the Mexicans. Now, the interesting person, the subject matter of hand that we're going to talk about is this gentleman by the name of American Cholo. Now, for those of you that don't know American Cholo or are not well versed into the gangster slash LA culture podcasting of the world, he is, I'm not going to say he's Mexican, but he's Honduras. But even as a Honduran, he was part of a Mexican gang and he politics with that side of the fence. But he's also very conservative, very well versed in politics, and he voted for Trump in this election. And then after the ICE roundouts that were happening, guess what American Cholo did? He stopped giving Trump support. And he realized that it was a bad idea for him to give support to Trump and again, this is his feelings, not mine. So I need you to understand the difference. Okay? There is a difference between my opinion and by the way, I have very little opinion on the subject. I mean, think about this, right? I'm an Arab Muslim guy, okay, who grew up with a lot of blacks and Asians in California. So you would imagine that this is not a subject that is dear to my heart, not in the way that, let's say, Muslims were treated in the post 9/11 world. However, I'm looking at this from an outsider point of view, right? So I am neither on the side of the majority white conservatives that are for the immigration process and are for the deportation of these people that they find. But I'm also not for the people that are getting deported up out of here because, you know what, unfortunately to say, there is something to be said about the reality that maybe you should have done the paperwork in order to do what it is that you needed to do to stay here long term, knowing that you're going to have children here, knowing that they're going to go to school. That's one side of the equation. But the other side of the equation is that there are people that have had their hearings canceled. And as a result, what do? Your hearing just got canceled. So what are you supposed to do? Right? You want to go about it the right way. You try to go about it the right way, and you aren't able to. So then as a result, now ICE is coming to your door based on what? The fact that you are an illegal, maybe living here for 30 some odd years. But the reality, and that is what they wanted to do. They wanted to round out people, maybe as a way of a quota, or maybe as a way of actually getting rid of people out there that are a nuisance to society. Obviously, the rapists, people that touch kids, people that harm the elder, and things of that nature, yes. So they are pushing that out. But then, unfortunately, you have to be very objective about this. They are also kicking out the people that are going to be, let's say, your potential landscapers, people that pick the strawberries, people that are willing to do labor that, let's just be honest, Americans, and even as myself as an Arab, would not do. Right? I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Like, let's say if I was in a third world country somewhere visiting, right, and I decided, all right, you know what, I'm going to get into some village action, whatever it is that the villagers do, I'm going to get behind it, right? Maybe that would consist of a hard day's work at a mine. Okay, then I'm going to do that. I'm not going to be opposed to do that. But you have to understand these people have to put in a certain amount of work in order to survive in this country. And here you have some people who are very privileged. I'll even say it, people like myself, who the only strenuous act that I've really done in my life is sports related. I mean, yes, college was a tough, outing, obviously, being able to study and then having to, compete in professional and semi-professional and amateur Muay Thai and MMA and all of these things, right? They take a lot of time and a lot of discipline, and they are hard. But it is not comparable to those that have to cross the desert, cross country, trying to evade authorities, cartel, and then more authorities on both sides of the fence, and then having to navigate your way here with no papers as you go out and try to find some sort of job and living in this part of the world. All right. That is a reality. So look, you got to look at it from both sides. And I don't think that a lot of people out there are unfortunately looking at it from both sides. And I'm here to tell you that I'm definitely here to do that. Big Ink MMA says, I'm doing great. How you been, my man? I'm doing very great, by the way. Sorry, I had to go on a little bit of a long monologue there before I answer that question, but I really needed to get that out because there are two sides to this equation that I think is really important for people to understand. Also, for my MMA guys out there, understand that we're also going to talk about UFC 316. Pena speaks about her post loss. Also, we're going to talk about UFC Atlanta full card. We're going to get to all of that relatively quickly because the main event here is about the riots. So I need you guys to be patient. I need you guys to lock in. I need you guys to hit the like and subscribe button. I need you guys to get your coffee, your popcorn, whatever it is that you need when you are watching something that is of epic proportions, such as watching Mission Impossible in the theaters or watching Minecraft on 3D, which, by the way, I have some glasses for it here somewhere. So here it is. If you guys were in the movie theaters to watch Minecraft, just understand that right here is the glasses that you watched the 3D with. Right? I don't know if this works for that one, but then Fresh Melon Juice says, "Remember your name, Bilal." Well, my name is not Bilal, but are you saying that I resemble Bilal Muhammad in the current moment of time with the beard and the sunglasses? And if so, let me know. And then probably a little bit of the, Arab hairline as well to go with it, right? But shout out to Marty Miller, flex emojis up, and everybody around the world that's tapped in right now. Not only do I need you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, but also hit on the comment section below what part of the world you are from. Fresh Melon Juice says, yes, glasses in the octagon and weighing. Okay. You know what? We're on to something here. Okay, so maybe I might go along with the Bilal Muhammad look, or you know what? Maybe if I go along with this look, I may help Bilal Muhammad give a little bit of a personality, right? Because imagine if I go viral as the Bilal Muhammad lookalike, right? And then Bilal Muhammad's like, hey, this guy's more popular than me, but I'm the world champ. You need a mustache. True. Arab guys don't do what the Dagestanis do, right? They sort of like the mustache, right? It's sort of like a following that they have with the Armenians, the Persians. But when it comes down to Gulf Arabia, Salafi, Orthodox Sunni Muslim culture, you got to get rid of the beard, the mustache, and that's what it is. Kenya is a former Mexican now. I didn't know that. Ken Carson. Shout out to you, Ken Carson. Uh, Make up Iranian says hi. Hi, how are you? Shout outs to everyone from Iran. Ken Carson. I want to ask you about that particular subject matter. She said that she's a former Mexican now. I mean, I don't think that she ever was. She said that she's Venezuelan. But on any regard, everybody give a welcome to Ken Carson. I believe he's a new chatter here. I hope you're a new subscriber as well. I hope you do subscribe. Makeup Iranian as well. Give a shout out to them and everybody around the world. Let me know what part of the world you are from as we get to these news topics and what is going on around the world. All right, so first, obviously, Pena speaks after her loss in the octagon, right? Let us delve into that particular subject first, and then we're going to get into the LA riots. So please stay tuned for this ride right here that we are about to embark on. Come along, on a fantastic slide, slippity slide. Okay, you guys know the rest. All right, so Ben Askren is also in the news. Oh man, how disrespectful of me to not even make this a particular focal point. We will talk about that as a bonus particular subject. And let's see, let's take a look at Pena right now. Okay. So, what are some news that Pena says released a statement following the loss? Okay, so let us go with MMA fighting from 1 day ago. Shout out to El-Kheer. By the way, believe it or not, journalist that I've been watching for a long time. And I'll give credit where credit is due. One of the guys that inspired me to get into MMA journalism because I said, man, if a dork like that can make it, man, I can absolutely tear it up in the world of MMA, YouTubing, and journalism. All right. So Juliana Pena. Oh wait, hold on. We need Korean on every rooftop. They'll stop the running. Ooh, okay. Fresh melon juice. We're about to get into some hot topics on it. First on Juliana Pena, then we'll get to LA. Okay. So, okay, Russian newsman, voice star. Let's go, Doc. Juliana Pena expects to still be in championship conversation whenever she returns to action. The Venezuelan vixen fell short in her first defense of her second bantamweight championship reign in Saturday at UFC 316, when she was submitted by Kayla Harrison in the evening's co-main event. Afterwards, Harrison called returning legend Amanda Nunes out in the crowd to face off with her in cage and lay the groundwork for dream match between two of the most accomplished women in history of combat sports. Regardless of how the fight goes, the 35-year-old Pena plans to be next in line. He released a statement Sunday addressing the loss and letting her rivals know she wants the winner of the upcoming matchup. Time to get healed up and get ready for next fight because I'm calling dibs on winner. Pena wrote on Instagram. See her post below. Okay, what did Venezuelan vixen here say? She says, "Thank you to all my fans who lifted me with your love and encouragement during the hashtag fight camp. I love all of you. I feel so grateful for the support and the energy you guys give me. It truly means the world. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get the job done. I'm super disappointed, but hats off to Kayla Harrison and her win. Time to get healed up and get ready for the next fight because I'm calling winner on tips on. Okay, you guys get the point. All right. So you understand, okay? I'm just gonna get to my normal American voice, okay? So I'm sorry I wasn't able to get the job done. Pena wrote, "I'm super disappointed. Hats off to Kayla on her win." What they probably would sound like if they started taking roids and whatnot. Pena is now 0-2 in the title defenses after her two stints. Okay, let me get to my serious voice here. Okay, she pulled off a legendary upset against Amanda Nunes 269, right? You remember that back when the title was back to the Lioness, Amanda Nunes, who immediately rematched for 7 months later. Okay, and then Pena won the title again with a contentious split decision. Okay, went over Raquel Pennington at 307 this past October, but again fell as champion when she ran into Kayla Harrison this past Saturday. So again, there's no official announcement that's been yet made for Harrison versus Nunes, but there's a very good reason to assume that this is going to be the next match booked in 2026.
Malcolm X says, "Are you Pakistani?" No, I am not. I am half Arabic and half Pacific Islander. Shout out to Malcolm X. I like your name, by the way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah barakatuh, brother. I don't know if you are Muslim, but I would assume maybe you are. But shout out to you nonetheless. Harrison improved to 3-0 in the UFC with an overall 9-1 with her dominant win over Penny. A 34-year-old Ohio native now joins Henry Cejudo as the only Olympic champion and also becoming a UFC champion, with Harrison having won twice the Olympic gold. Okay, so she launched her career in the PFL, where she won 2 league tournaments competing at 155. Okay, now at 37, Nunez, former 2 division champion at bantamweight and featherweight, recently announced that she's coming out of retirement. Initially hung up her gloves in 2023 following a win over Irene Aldana, and her 6th successful bantamweight title defense overall ever since 2014. Now, Nunez.
All right, guys. So that right there is the conclusion of our live stream. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to end the podcast right now, or the live stream. Uh, if you want to check out the full audio of that I just played in the background, check out day 5 of the LA riots on my live stream section. This is day 6. So with that in mind, that is all that I have for this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. I will be dropping some videos regarding Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez signed to Netflix. So here we go. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, inshallah.